In 1961, a Twilight episode aired called It's a Good Life. In it, Billy Mummy plays a child, probably 7 years old, who lives with his family on an isolated farm in Ohio. But the same people are always hanging around, all adults, presumably neighbors from other farms. And the atmosphere, despite the bucolic setting, is tense from the very beginning. And over time, you begin to notice that the person who seems to be in charge of everything is the child Billy Mummy plays, Anthony Fremont. Why? Well, it turns out that despite his immaturity, despite the fact that he has not evolved yet as a human being, Anthony Fremont has massive mental powers. He can literally control other people. So when they don't give in to him, when they do not do his bidding, when they do not do everything in their power to fulfill his wishes, when they defy him, he gets upset. And what happens when Anthony Fremont gets upset? Well, he turns the offending party into a jack-in-the-box right there in the family living room, which sounds funny, but when you're a tiny child watching this on reruns on WPIX Channel 11 in New York City with all the lights off, it's fucking terrifying. Sorry. It really, I think it scarred me. Watch the episode and I challenge you not to be horrified. Well, the adults in Anthony's vicinity are also horrified. And faced with this grotesque creature that their friend or neighbor or husband has been turned into because Anthony was thwarted in some way or frustrated in some way, Anthony's father begs him to send what had once been a human being out into the cornfield away from the sight of the rest of them, which reluctantly Anthony does. With every instance of this, the adults around Anthony become more desperate and in some cases more compliant. Desperate on his parents' behalf to try to protect him, but desperate on the other adults' behalf to try to get rid of him somehow without his knowing that they're plotting against him. And then there's the compliance, which I think you understand where I'm going with this. I've never quite understood why this episode of The Twilight Zone was not referred to repeatedly, because this country is being run by that 7-year-old child. We see instances of this more and more and more frequently. If you say a mean thing about Donald Trump, you must be fired and lose your livelihood. If you refuse to do his bidding, well, you're not going to get that government contract, are you? Worth potentially tens of billions of dollars. If you had the audacity to do your job as a prosecutor, as a judge, as a congressperson, well, you don't deserve to be free, because America is now run by a child with the kind of power the rest of us can only imagine. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's, I said evening already, tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is wonderful to have you here. It's Friday. How cool is that? We made it, kind of, sort of. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure America made it because today, Donald violated norms, standards, traditions, and the law by charging one of the prosecutors in the DOJ to indict. Actually, sorry, this was last evening, to indict former FBI Director James Comey because, well, Donald seems to think it was simply because Comey was mean to him, and now Donald doesn't like him. See? Twilight Zone. ABC News has more.
We have some breaking news right now on ABC News Live reports. Sources are telling ABC News that a grand jury has in fact indicted ex-FBI Director James Comey. The effort was led by President Trump's newly appointed U.S. Attorney in Virginia, Lindsay Halligan. Prosecutors earlier said that they couldn't establish a probable cause to charge Comey.
Well, the prosecution now willing to do anything Donald wants sought 3 charges against Comey. But the grand jury only indicted on 2, making false statements and obstruction of justice. The New York Times reports that these charges were rushed through by newly installed Trump loyalist, Donald loyalist, the aforementioned Halligan, just days before the statute of limitations expired. She has zero experience as a prosecutor, and yet Donald gave her a job in which she will oversee over 300 prosecutors, after pressuring the previous district U.S. attorney into resignation. Now, that attorney resigned because he knew that there was not sufficient evidence to indict Comey or indeed any other people Donald wants him to go after. Halligan will, of course, do whatever is asked about her, even though she repeatedly got warnings from career prosecutors and her predecessor that the evidence against Comey was too weak to justify an indictment. Halligan made this decision after Donald publicly called for prosecutions of Comey, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Senator Adam Schiff. This is the clearest example yet of Donald's use of the DOJ for his own personal retribution. But this has been going on for a long time. The road signs have been there. It follows a broader purge of career Justice Department officials since Donald was sworn in on January 20th of this year. It also comes after the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court gave a legally absurd ruling expanding Donald's presidential immunity. Donald and his allies are framing the indictment of Comey as overdue accountability. But legal experts warn that it signals a dangerous collapse of the DOJ's independence. I mean, I think let's dispense with this notion, shall we? The DOJ is not an independent agency anymore. This once storied institution is dead as we knew it. This is Donald Trump's DOJ, as led by Attorney General Pam Bondi. It is simply Donald Trump's defense firm. Donald likes to whine about the prosecutions he experienced when Joe Biden was in office, but Biden had absolutely nothing to do with those. He gave his Department of Justice total independence. He had nothing whatsoever to do with influencing who his Attorney General, Merrick Garland, charged with crimes, and that would actually include his son, Hunter Biden. Donald, on the other hand, is using the department, the extraordinary power of the DOJ, to enact revenge on his behalf. There's been a discussion going on for a long time now. You know, are we in a constitutional crisis? I mean, I think we've been in one for years, but I certainly think we've been in several simultaneously because that's what we do now. We're multitaskers here in America. But certainly when 78 million people decided to put back into the Oval Office a man who cited an insurrection against his own government, that seemed bad. Everything that Donald and his enablers and sycophants have done since January 20th has just made it more and more clear that the guardrails are not holding. We are entirely uncharted territory. And as far as I'm aware, there is nothing yet I've seen that can stop the continuing erosion of the rule of law and the Constitution, our civil liberties. But what we can do is speak out against it. And in this case, in this instance, Donald has actually been doing us a solid here. He is overreaching so badly. He is going after targets so prominent that people who wouldn't normally pay attention are starting to pay attention. We saw this happening initially with his horrific treatment of immigrants and his denying them the right to due process, which is right there in the Constitution. We've seen this with his corrupt mishandling of the civil service. We saw it last week with his attempts to get Jimmy Kimmel fired. And it was close. Disney actually met him halfway and was willing to put Jimmy Kimmel's show on, to suspend his show indefinitely. And now James Comey, where it's clear that the rule of law is dead in America and the right to free speech is hanging by a thread. All of this, hopefully, will bring attention to bear on all of the other ways in which the Trump regime is eroding the strength of this country from, again, our constitutional order, the rule of law, our civil liberties, and our economy. Because no matter what he tries to tell us about the state of our economy, we know that it is currently a disaster, that everything that has happened on his watch is exactly the opposite of what he promised the American people while he was campaigning for the presidency in 2024. Regardless of what the facts say, of what the data say, of what the numbers say, Donald is lying through his teeth every day in order to make it seem as if the economy is doing great and he is the one responsible for its success. Today, he made yet more ridiculous comments about our economy while speaking to reporters on the White House lawn. Take a look.
Well, we're going to see, but the radical left Democrats want to shut it down. I mean, it's up to them. We have a great economy going. You saw the numbers yesterday. They're fantastic. The economy's doing well. Prices are down. We have virtually no inflation. Everything's going good. We're respected by every nation in the world. And you know what happened? The Democrats want to shut it down. And they want to shut it down because they want to give billions, ultimately trillions of dollars to illegal migrants, people that came into our country illegally. Some of those people are criminals, but they came into our country illegally, and they want to give them the essential over years, trillions of dollars, and our people aren't going to stand for it. They also want to have open borders. They want to have men and women's sports. They want to have transgender for everybody. These people are crazy, the Democrats. So if it has to shut down, it'll have to shut down. But they're the ones that are shutting down.
Where to start? Let's start with the basics. Prices are up. Inflation is slowly but surely on the rise. No countries have respect for Donald at all, especially the leaders of those countries Donald most admires, Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping. They all think Donald is a complete and utter moron, and a weak one at that. And then he's trying to blame the Democrats for shutting down the government because the Democrats want to give billions. No, not billions, trillions of dollars to immigrants. They want transgender for everybody. What does that even mean? And what in God's name does launching assaults against the most vulnerable population in this country have to do with the budget? He can keep trying to distract us, but he has to get more and more hyperbolic in order to do it. He has to go after bigger and bigger targets. And part of that, yes, is distraction, but part of it is also about assuaging his need for attention, for feeling like a tough guy. And the more he fails, the more desperate he gets. So, of course, he's also going to continue going after people who don't have power, who can't fight back, who can't make him look bad and mock him. So, yes, the child with a massive amounts of power who doesn't know how to use it except for his own selfish ends. Donald's confidence, especially about inflation and prices, is shocking if you actually think that he's lying. But if you put it in the context of his psychology, it makes perfect sense. He cannot face facts because the facts tell a terrible story about his incompetence, ineptitude, and stupidity. The problem for him, though, is that all of this is going to get worse. All of this is going to get harder to spin, considering the added tariffs he's just announced. More tariffs on pharmaceuticals, semi-trucks, kitchen cabinets, and upholstered furniture. That seems unfair. The new taxes range from the quite absurd 25% to the absolutely insane 100%. They're likely to be felt throughout the economy, through every sector of this economy, from housing and healthcare to logistics. So, of course, I'm sure there is a line of Republicans out the door ready to stand up finally, at long last, and call Donald on this, right? No. They're going to let him keep doing it. I'm not sure why. Sometimes I think it seems clear to me, but then I just don't know anymore how these people benefit by allowing a child with vast, not mental powers in the sense of intelligence, but in the sense of being able to punish people who are mean to him. Unless they just are doing what people like them always do, obeying in advance to make their lives easier, everybody else be damned. And again, as I said, as Donald becomes more desperate and feels he needs to go after bigger targets, it's going to backfire, as it has, not just with Jimmy Kimmel, who, once his show was reinstated by Disney, got the highest ratings it had ever gotten. 4 times as many people tuned into Kimmel's first show back. Over 20 million people watched his monologue on YouTube. Brought much more attention to the person who has made a very good living mocking him for the last several years. There was one holdout, though, and something else that people, generally speaking, aren't aware of, that Disney does not control all of the markets in which its shows are, its networks are aired. Local affiliates like Sinclair Broadcasting are in charge of those markets. Sinclair, even after Disney reinstated Kimmel, refused to do the same. They're ideologically aligned with Donald, and they wanted to make sure that they did his bidding. However, now Sinclair has also agreed to stop preempting Kimmel's show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, on its station. And that's a significant percentage of the market. It's like 25% of the market. In a statement released, a statement that Sinclair released read in part, quote, "Over the last week, we have received thoughtful feedback from viewers, advertisers, and community leaders representing a wide range of perspectives. In our ongoing and constructive discussions with ABC, Sinclair proposed measures to strengthen accountability, viewer feedback, and a community dialogue, including a network-wide independent ombudsman. While ABC and Disney have not yet adopted these measures, and Sinclair respects their right to make those decisions under our network affiliate agreements, we believe such measures would strengthen trust and accountability," unquote. What that means is that Sinclair caved and got nothing in return. Right. What that suggests to me is that the viewer made a difference, that the pressure they put on Sinclair made a difference. Why? Well, because probably for the first time ever, a lot of people understood that other people are making choices for them and they don't like it. People don't like it when Donald tells them what they can and cannot watch on television. They do not like it when local affiliates say, well, you like the show, but we don't agree with its content, so you can't watch it anymore. And also, they probably lost a lot of money, because that is always a prime motivator in this deeply broken country of ours. Remember, it's Friday. We have a lot of breathing to catch up on. Okay. I hope, I was going to say something silly. I hope we have a quiet weekend ahead of us, but we don't know. So we need to be prepared for all contingencies. So we're going to keep breathing in and out, and we're going to watch our emotional support moment because, again, we made it. And today we're going to talk about fossils. I love fossils because I actually believe in evolution. I think the Earth is more than 5,000 years old. Yeah. I don't believe that humans and dinosaurs walked the Earth together at the same time. No. I mean, that would have been fun and probably really, really dangerous, but it is not a thing that happened. So this family, the Colemans, discovered a 32-million-year-old fossilized shell of a leatherback sea turtle along the Alabama River in Clark County. Oh, cool. People in Alabama believe in things that are more than 5,000 years old. That's awesome. After confirming the age and significance, paleontologists determined that this fossil represents a new genus and species, which, as somebody who wanted to be a paleontologist when she was 7, is very exciting. So here's the story from WALA TV 10, Alabama.
The Colemans like to be outside. They spend much of their time on the water, in particular hunting fossils, a tradition passed down from Adam's dad.
Every time we're on the river, we like to stop on the riverbank and take a break from fishing and walk around and see what we can find. Shark's teeth and shark vertebrae.
His wife Adrian and their 2 children, Tala and Corey, love to tag along too. In 2021, on the Alabama River near Jackson, at just 13 years old at the time, Tala spotted something curious.
That rock looks a little weird, and me and my dad went and checked it out because we thought it was just mud. And we got up closer to it. We were like, that's not mud. That's something.
And it was something, all right. Dr. Andrew Gentry from the Gulf State Park Learning Campus.
It is such an absolutely extraordinarily rare occurrence to get an intact fossil leatherback shell like this. It is beyond 1 in a million.
The Dauphin Island Sea Lab loaned them one of their boats to load up the fossil, weighing roughly 1 ton. Once the fossil was secure, Gentry reached out to other paleontologists around the U.S. to determine how old the fossil was. And it was ancient, 32 million years old. It was also determined to belong to a never-before-discovered species and genus of leatherback sea turtles. And since it was found on some of the Creek ancestral homeland, members of the Porch Creek tribe got to name the species in their native Muskogee language.
So it is a combination of the words Wiwa and Loja, which means water and turtle.
The Colemans are already itching to find their next big fossil discovery. Does it make you want to get out there and do more?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah, we're ready.
That's so cool. I love sea turtles. And yeah, it is just fascinating how incredibly complex this world of ours is, how long things have been around, and how we continue to pick leaders who are ignorant idiots who care for none of this. But we care, and we're going to keep caring. So thank you, leatherback sea turtle, for existing 32 million years ago and landing in mud that preserved you. Much appreciated. Also very cool that the Muskogees got to name the new genus and species. Okay, it is time for your questions and comments, etc. Greg, thank you as always. Thoughts on the top military leaders all meeting in the same place on Thursday. It's ominous to me. It is ominous. The fact that Pete Hegseth gets to order hundreds of generals and admirals to do his bidding makes me sick. But what is he up to? Like, is it mass firings? Is it some kind of, I don't know. But I don't know enough about this stuff, but I don't think it has precedent in modern American military history. But whatever the case, I don't think it's good, but obviously we'll keep our eye on it. Mina Cheryl, as always, thank you for gifting 1 Mary Trump Media membership and the Mina Cheryl twofer. Thank you for this. This is a missed yesterday fee. That's okay. It's all recorded. Oh my God. A Mina Cheryl threefer. Thank you. Comment, day 10 of 11 dog sitting fee. Wow, 6 dogs, 4 houses fee. Holy that's a lot of houses and puppies. I hope it's fun. It sounds like it should be, but also probably a lot of work. Marianne is a new member. Thank you, Marianne, and welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. Lizzie Beth, thank you, as always. Fee for demonstration at Bridge Day, which everyone survived. Excellent. Thank you all for tolerating my whining the other day. It's not whining. It's justified venting. Let's call it that instead. Because seriously, it's a lot to vent about, and it's all pretty much justified. Phoebe, thank you so much, as always. Question asking for my mom. Would you ever consider having Adam Kinzinger on your show? Fun fact. Katie Kirk. I've been on Katie Kirk's Instagram Live a few times, and she asked me to co-host a show with her, and we interviewed Adam Kinzinger. So yeah, I would. His Divine Scotto, thank you so much for this. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Awesome. Meta is a super sticker. Thank you very much for that. Cool. Richard, thank you as always. That's very kind. Quote, there's a darkness reaching like rust into everything around us. We let it grow, and now it's here. It's here, and it's not visiting anymore. It wants to stay. Unquote. Marva Andor 2022. Yes, indeed. That is accurate and sad. Francie, thank you, Francie, for gifting 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That's most excellent. Ellie, wow, thank you, Ellie. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Phenomenal. His Divine Scadu is a member for 3 months. Fabulous. Comment, I looked up the Cassandra paradox. I saw your pic. It's funny. Excuse me. I must hydrate. Michael, thanks as always for that question. What is the Dems whining counter message to the Republican cry messaging? I don't know. I said whining, but it's winning. I don't know. Pick one. I can, off the top of my head, I can think of 20 things they could be messaging about that are winning messages for them. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer is freaking out because the government might close and he's afraid that he's going to be blamed for it. Grow a spine. Do I seem frustrated to you about the Democrats and their inability to message their way out of a paper bag? Yes, I am. Electron Creations, member for 3 months. Excellent. Comment. Thanks for keeping me somewhat centered, Mary. You're welcome. I'm not sure how I do that, but I'm happy to help. Dorothy, thanks so much as always, Dorothy. Comment. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, Fee. Thanks for being here for us. Well, you're welcome. And I actually said that out loud the other day. I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then later in the day, I said, I'm so tired of being tired. See? It's like a variation on a theme. Julie, thank you so much as always. That's fantastic. Comment. Hi, Mary. Just picked up heart meds that I had to start taking during Donald's first term. Empath bodies don't do well under this idiot wrapped in a moron. Everyone take breaks when you need to and check on each other. Yeah, thank you for that, Julie, because it's so important. So very important. I've said this since, nobody was listening when I said it in 2017, but I have been saying it since 2017. It is a terrible time to be a human being with empathy. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have empathy. It just means that it's a very difficult thing. It's it's hard. It's harder than it is for the monsters among us who don't even believe in empathy. People like Charlie Kirk and Stephen Miller and Donald. Well, I don't know if Donald believes it or not, but he doesn't have any. Donna, thank you so very much for that. As always, a super sticker, and that's extremely generous of you. What should I do? Jenna, thank you for being a member for 4 months. That's awesome. Comment, we survived another shit show of a week. Here's hoping for at least one day of a break before it starts again. Let's hope. Yep. Mets get the wild card. My God, they'd better. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you too as well. In the middle of nowhere, again, back with a one gift of a Mary Trump media membership. Thank you. And another one in the middle of nowhere. Thank you very much. It's extremely generous. Comment, the why of it all, that they are now on autopilot and will blindly agree to anything. It's only when it affects their life directly that they react. Here's hoping it's a wake-up call. P.S. Fossil ESN, very cool. Yes, it was very cool. I have to be honest with you. I don't even know if it matters, if it affects them. Don't they know people with cancer? Like, the Trump regime is defunding cancer research. Don't they have children who are going to go to school and maybe get measles? I don't know anymore. I really don't. Like, their children are just as likely as ours to be victims of gun violence. There's a disconnect here. A very troubling disconnect. William, thank you, William. That's very kind. Comment, thanks for doing this channel. I don't know how our country comes back from this administration. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that too. I don't know how the DOJ comes back from this. It's one thing to disband the civil service, basically, and upend the rule of law. But what doesn't get discussed enough is that the Trump regime is systematically destroying institutional memory, which gets built up over generations and decades. It's all gone. Plus, of course, the brain drain, our standing around the world. So much easier. It's just a reminder. It is so much easier to destroy things than it is to create them. Donald is the physical embodiment of that concept. Mary, thank you as always. This is a Friday fee with 3 turtle emojis and 3 cat emojis. Fabulous. Jacqueline, thank you so much. This is an awesome ancient fossil fee, right? So awesome. Susan Wood is a new member. Thank you so much, Susan, and welcome. G is a super sticker. Thank you so much for that, G. Violet XOXOX. Thank you very, very much. Comment. Katie Fang said a congressman said the Hegseth meeting is to tell the generals if the government shuts down, Donald is going to declare martial law. Okay. What? Also, the Trump regime is saying that instead of furloughing federal employees, they're just going to fire everybody. Is that the pretext for declaring martial law? Because we don't have anybody running the government. I don't know, man. Maybe it is not, sadly, because we are in the Twilight Zone and he is Anthony Fremont. That is not outside the realm of possibility, even though it's unthinkable, because apparently those two things can be true at the same time. Mark, wow, Mark, thank you very much. It's extremely generous. Question, was Donald abused by a windmill as a child? Yes. No, I don't know. Yes, his insanity about windmills is one of those mystifying things. Just like it's like one of the things he hates about windmills, allegedly, is that according to him, they kill whales. One, they don't. And two, he doesn't care about whales. So it's all just odd. And his obsession with water pressure. Ugh. A purpley one. Thank you so much. Comment, Mary. I appreciate all you do and for being our safe venting space against your uncle. Much love. Stay safe and well. And lots of very cool emojis. Thank you so much for that purpley one. And finally, Joanne Shoup. Wow, Joanne, that's extremely generous and much, much appreciated by all of us. On that lovely note, we are done for this week. Thank you, everybody. I must hydrate again. Everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and our Substack over at The Good in Us, to everybody listening to the podcast, to all of our new members, everybody gifting memberships, our super stickers, people giving donations. You guys rock. And it's really wonderful of you to step up. Speaking of supporting the channel, we are like this close. It's quite incredible how the YouTube algorithm is slowed down lately, but we're still on the cusp of 470. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. It doesn't cost anything. You'll have access to all of the videos on the homepage of our YouTube channel. Another really good way to support us is to watch our pre-recorded videos, because we have live shows Monday through Friday. Is the live at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have an Ask Mary Anything Within Reason on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern. But we have at least 2 videos dropping 7 days a week. Check those out. Like them, share them, watch them, obviously. Comment on them. That helps us a lot. Finally, to my amazing team, it has been something of a week or 2 or 3 or 10. So thank you for hanging in there, for doing what you do with such professionalism. What's that word? Acetaminophen. Sorry. Professionalism and humor and equanimity. Appreciate it tremendously, and actually more every day. We have news, by the way. Guess what's happening as of Sunday? Yeah, there's going to be Mary Trump Media merch. Yep. Check this out. Check it out. That's one of the designs. It's actually the wrong one, but hey, it looks really cool. We hope you guys like that. It is the first of many. I've been told. Actually, I haven't been told this because it's something we've been planning for a while. There will be mashed potato themed merchandise as well. Yes, indeed. So Sunday is the day. We will keep the moderators posted on all of these developments, but come to Ask Mary Anything Within Reason on Sunday, and we'll show you some more stuff. and the store will be open. And it's exciting. And it's long past time. So, thank you all for being here tonight. Please unplug this weekend. Do something in nature, or go to a museum, read a book. I don't know. Don't watch the news. Don't doom scroll on Twitter or TikTok or whatever your preferred social media horror is. Chill out. And I will see you back here on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Bye.